when everybody says something's going to happen or reports it's going to happen, this is about to happen, does it actually happen? Especially in sports. Very rarely in sports, actually, especially when it's the draft time. Very rarely does it happen. It is actually the opposite of what they're reporting and what they're saying. What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sports topic, and today we're going to talk some basketball, Orlando Magic basketball. Today we're going to talk about the Orlando Magic possibly, and the reason why they could actually go off the rails of what everybody's reporting of drafting Chet and drafting Jabari, and actually draft Paolo Banchero, #1 overall. We're going to talk about, we're going to break it down, but like I've been telling y'all before, if you liking the content, you liking the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure that you comment on all the videos, make sure you liking all the videos, make sure you're sharing all the videos on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, any social media platform you use. Make sure you share it on those same social media platforms. Also, follow me on social media as well. The links in the description below. We giving away 30 days free with Amazon Prime. If you sign up to Amazon Prime, you get 30 days free. Who don't like free stuff? I like free stuff. You get 30 days free with Amazon Prime if you sign up to Amazon Prime. The link in the description below. If you don't already have it, get your 30 days free. And also, follow me on all social media platforms. Like the channel, subscribe to the channel, share the channel. Do all that right there. Like I said before, hit the links in the description. Let's get this channel growing and growing and growing. Now, like I was saying, the Orlando Magic had the #1 overall pick, and again, like I said, you have the first pick in the draft. You have to get a franchise-changing player. You have to get a linchpin to your franchise. Unfortunately, in this year's draft for the Orlando Magic, there's not a clear-cut #1. There's not a Shaq. There's not a Zion. There's not an Anthony Davis. There's not a LeBron James. There's not just a clear-cut Tim Duncan. There's not a guy. Okay, this is definitely the guy to get in the draft, and because of that, you can't go wrong and you can go wrong all at the same time, because now you actually have to do an actual evaluation process. You have to evaluate exactly what's more beneficial to you and your team and what's more beneficial for the player. This might be a highly talented player, but does he actually fit what you want to do, what you need to do, what is required for you to succeed? You might have to go against the grain a little bit, kind of like the Magic did back in, was it 2004, the last time they had the #1 overall pick, when they went off the rails a little bit and drafted Dwight Howard. Everybody, you don't say, hey, go after the national championship or Mecca Okafor. You end up going after Dwight Howard, kid out of high school, and it paid off dividends. Because you didn't have LeBron James in the draft, you didn't have a Shaq in the draft, you didn't have a clear cut #1. Same thing back in was it '93 when you had the #1 overall pick and you drafted Chris Webber and you traded Chris Webber in assets to Golden State to get the rights to Penny Hardaway, and it paid off dividends for you in the short term. You ended up going to the finals with the combination of Shaq and the rest of the crew. So, in saying that, a lot of people, like I said, as soon as the draft lottery hit and the Magic had the #1 overall pick, people are saying, okay, they're going to draft Chet. They're going to draft Chet. They're going to draft Chet. Drawing the comparisons to him going to school with Suds. Don't think that's going to happen. Been saying that from that night. Don't think it's going to happen. No, do I want that to happen? Just don't think it's happening. Now, I'm on the mindset I prefer Jabari Smith. That's what seems like everybody's saying the favorite is. But when you look at what the Magic actually truly need, could it really actually be Paolo? And the reason why is because the Magic, what they need, what they've needed for a long time, is an actual scorer. We have not had a true scorer since Trace McGrady. Since the moment we traded Trace McGrady to Houston, we haven't had a full real scorer. Do you know the last non center that's averaged over 20 points or averaged 20 plus points per game was? It was Steve Francis. The year after we traded Trace McGrady to Houston, we had Steve Francis. He averaged 21, I think 21.6. That's the last time a non-center, and when I'm gonna say center, I'm gonna just say Dwight Howard or Nikola Vucevic his last year averaged over 20 points. Because Nikola Vucevic last year averaged 24 points, and before we traded him, and then I think his first All-Star season he only averaged 19. I think the next year, I think in 2018. I'm not 2018. I think the 2020 season, like the bubble season, I think he averaged 21, if I'm not mistaken. Dwight averaged 22 the year after we went to the finals. And the year we went to the finals, I think he averaged 21. There was another season too. He averaged, I think, like 20 or 21, something like that. But the last time consistently we had an actual scorer was Trace McGrady That's the last time we had an actual consistent score. So to get somebody else who can score, somebody score, you might look at Pablo because that's what he is. He's a scorer. I know people want to talk about the man defense, talk about how he's last days on defense. It looks like it's an effort thing, but the man can score. Now, the reason why I picked Jabari over Pablo, I'm good with Pablo. If the Magic draft Pablo number one, I'm not gonna have any attitude at all. I actually like that. But the reason why I picked Jabari is because Jabari is a better shooter, and I'm gonna lean towards the better shooter. I know people want to talk about Jabari defense versus Pablo defense. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't give a damn, and I really don't about the defense. If the guy can score 20 to 25, 25 to 30 points a game, I don't care if he's lackadaisical on defense. If he's giving you a good 25 points a game consistently, hey, somebody gonna have shortcomings. Ain't no perfect play out there. You look at what James Harden did in Houston. All those years he averaged in the high 20s and the 30s. Bad on defense. Was playing Olay defense. We just letting people go by. Just bad on defense. Turned the ball over as well. Wasn't a good ball handler. Turned the ball over as well. But it actually helped. I mean, he won the MVP. The Rockets win his playoff situation as a whole. That's the reason why the Rockets never done anything, because of what happened to James Harden in the playoffs. That's a whole conversation for another day. I know got a lot of Rocket fans in here right now. Y'all probably mad because I'm saying the Magic gonna take Pablo. But even saying that, just the way he scores, he can score on all levels. He's a all level scorer, and actually, he's a better mid range scorer than Jabari is. Jabari's a better shooter. I think Jabari's a better pure shooter. But when you talk about mid-level scorer, he's a better mid-range scorer than Jabari. He can finish at the rim a little bit. He finishes the rim better. He has more tools in the toolbox offensively. He has more offensive tools in the toolbox offensively than Jabari does. Now, again, Jabari's a better defender, which I know a lot of people have been talking about. Jabari is obviously a better defender, but my thing is Jabari's a better shooter, and that's why I lean towards Jabari. But when you look at a guy who's able to lead Duke all the way to the Final Four, now my thing is they lost to North Carolina. The first time ever Duke and North Carolina has ever played ever in the tournament, and they played in the Final Four in this Coach K's last season, and you lose in that game. I have issue with that. But he's the only one that actually had real success in the tournament out of these big three. Not only the team winning, just the way it looked. Because the last time we seen Jabari, they didn't look all that well. And when Chet went up against, I think it was Arkansas, he folded. So when you look at Pablo has the better experience, and I think he also has the higher floor than the rest of these guys. I think Jabari has the higher ceiling. I think he has the highest floor out of everybody. I think if all these guys they don't go nowhere past their floor. Jabari is a better. I mean, not Jabari, but Pablo's a better player. I think Jabari is going to be. I keep saying Jabari. I'm sorry. I think that Pablo's going to be the better player off the gate. I think he's more NBA ready right now, and I think Jabari has a higher ceiling. But when you look at what you're asking of these guys, if you want somebody who's a full-fledged scorer that's going to score you points all the time, I can see why they would lean towards Pablo. I really do. And you look at the experience. I really do. And when you look and see what Jason Tatum out there doing in Boston, in kind of the same situation, all the pieces that Boston have around them, kind of same situation which you have in Orlando when you talk about Cole Anthony, when you talk about Jalen Suggs, we talk about Markelle Fultz, when you talk about RJ Hampton, when you talk about Chuma Kiki, we talk about Franz Wagner, we talk about Wendell Carter, you talk about Bobo, who you can bring back, you talk about Mo Bamba, who you can bring back, you talk about Jonathan Isaac, who we have yet to see in a while. Got more pieces around. Because I think the Magic are one of those franchises that once we get a linchpin guy, and once we get a guy that we can be like, here, score, give us points, here's the ball, score, give us points. We have a lot of pieces around that start to make this thing go, and I think the Magic can be a very competitive team, a team that can be in the maybe not make the playoffs, but the chance to be in the mix for the play-in next year. I really believe that. I think if they hit this pick right. Whoever they hit it with, they hit this pick right, I do think the Magic can be in the play-in next year. I'm not just saying that just because I'm a Magic fan. I'm just saying that just looking off with the skill level, the talent that the team has, that they can be a team that could be they could be a team that potentially could be okay in the play-in next year. Maybe the year after that may still be a playing team. Maybe the year after that, so 2023 will be a playing team. 2024 maybe still be a playing team, or maybe just right the 2025 I think will be the year where they won't be a playing team. That's a team that'll be a a 4 seed possibly, and maybe 2026, 2027 is okay. Now we're in position to actually be a real threat in the Eastern Conference, to walk away with that Eastern Conference championship and potentially be competing for the finals. I know that I'm talking about 2026, 2027, but the groundwork starts here. I mean, that's what will make whoever we draft in this draft, that will give them 3 to 4 years in the game. Not to mention the pieces you already have. So it's far, but it's not as far if you actually look at it in the grand scheme. It's enough distance. It's enough. Now you might have to add in some veterans here and there, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, when we talk about free agency, when we do other stuff, because those things also are factors. But in saying that though, you need a guy to score. And when you look at that, and I know, like I said, I know a lot of Rocket fans out there, they want Pablo, and I think that Pablo in Houston would be a nice. I think him and Jalen Green would be a nice tandem. But as I sit back and think about that, maybe Pablo don't want to go to Houston. I know I seen a video not too long ago talking about that he's like trying to force his way to Houston. What if he doesn't really want to go to Houston? And because when he gets drafted in Houston, he knows he's going to be the second in command, because Jalen Green was the number 2 pick overall last year, and Jalen Green all rookie, first team all rookie team last year. The way Jalen can score points. Jalen is a bona fide scorer, and I think Jalen Green is going to be a superstar caliber player. I'm really high on Jalen Green. I know he's a Rocky. I'm really high on Jalen Green, and I think he has the potential to be a superstar caliber player. I think he has the potential to be a league scorer, leading the league in scoring. I think he has that type of capability. So I don't think if you had Pablo, he's going to be he's going to play second fiddle now after being the number 1 guy and the number 1 option for Duke. One of the blue bloods in college basketball, one of the highest, one of the most recognizable college, I don't want to say franchise, but college basketball schools in all of college basketball. He was the number 1 player for that school, number 1 scorer. I don't think he would want to be second fiddle to Jalen Green in Houston. I mean, in Orlando. He would be, especially being the number 1 overall pick. He would be the primary scorer. He would be the number 1 guy. Now, again, if he goes out there and he doesn't prove to be the number 1 guy, if Franz continues to step up, if Markelle comes back, if Isaac comes back and is playing at a different level, if Suggs play, obviously if somebody else steps up and steps over him, that's different. But I'm saying, when you're giving the keys to the franchise, you draft somebody number 1 overall, you're basically giving them the keys to the franchise, and you're basically saying you're going to be our number 1 guy, unless it's a situation where they already have a number 1 guy there, and they just happen to have a number 1 overall pick. But normally, when like for instance, like in Philly, already had a number 1 guy when they had already had number 1 guy when they had Embiid. So of course Simmons, and then also Markelle Fultz when they drafted them number 1. You already had your number 1 guy in Embiid and things like that. Like, so if you same thing with Phoenix. With Phoenix, you already had your number 1 guy in Devin Booker. Devin Booker's been proven. It was proven to be their number 1 guy. So when you drafted DeAndre Ayton, he wasn't going to be your number 1 guy. But Orlando doesn't have a number 1 guy yet. They don't. So you draft somebody number 1 overall, he's going to be your number 1 guy unless he proves otherwise, or unless somebody else proves otherwise. So in saying that, I think that he would prefer to be in Orlando, so he could be the number 1 guy, versus going into the situation in Houston. He'll potentially be he'll be going into that situation as second fiddle, because Jalen Green is already, I ain't gonna say Jalen was established, he only played a season, then you play a full season, but you already know that's where everything is trending in Houston. It's going to be Jalen Green. Now, of course, if he comes out there and proves that he's a better player, that's a different situation. But as of going in, I'm just talking about walking into game 1, week 1, training camp, whatever. He's going to be going into this situation as the number 2 guy, because Jalen Green will be the number 1 guy. Now, in Orlando, he'll be going to the situation in Orlando as the number one guy, game one, week one, preseason training camp, whatever you want to call it, he's going to go into that situation the number one guy. Unless something happens, something he doesn't prove up. But going into the situation, he'll be going in as the number one guy. I think he would prefer that, especially being a scorer, especially a guy who has all the skills offensively. And like I said, his shooting is not bad. He's just not a pure shooter, especially a pure pull-up shooter like Jabari. He can take it to the rack. He got ball skills. He has a mid-range shot. Like I said, his mid-range is better than Jabari's mid-range, to be honest with you. Jabari's is a better three-point shooter. I think his three-point shooting can get better, but Jabari's a better three-point shooter. So again, I lean towards Jabari. So I hope Jabari does get taken or with Orlando number one overall. But if the Magic take Pablo, I'm not complaining at all. I'm going to be hollering and screaming in a good way, excited that Pablo will be the player because I do think he does have star potential. I think they both have star capability, and I do think that both of them could be the type of guy with the rest of the organization around them potentially lead this franchise where this franchise should be at, because it's been too damn long for us to be consistently playing. And the Magic have highs and they have lows. I mean, it started off rocking. The franchise started. You get Shaq, you get Penny, and the Magic were up high. Going to the finals, going to the Eastern Conference Finals, beating Jordan high, and then Shaq leaves. Penny gets hurt. You end up trading Penny too. Then you go down. Then you end up getting Tracy. I know. I'm missing the Hustle and Hard era, but I mean Hustle and Hard, but they went 41-41. You get Tracy, and it goes back up, but you don't win a playoff series. You can't win a playoff series. Tracy gets moved. You get Dwight. You struggle a little bit with Dwight, and then Dwight and them take off. Get to the finals, beat LeBron James, do those type of things, and then Dwight, man, that happens, and then pew, and we've been so mediocre. It's been so mediocre for the last going on 10 years now. I mean, you have the 2019 playoff situation. You have the whole bubble playoff situation. And of that, we're back at square one. But I like the way that we're building and the trajectory we're going in now. Because I like the pieces the Magic have today way more than I like the pieces that we had, I'm going to say 2014, 2015-ish, when we first had those pieces. Now, I was a huge fan of Vic. I was a huge fan of AG. But I like these pieces, I think, are more sustainable. And I think you can get better success, but you just need that one guy. You just need that one guy. Is it Pablo? Is it Jabari? We'll see. Was it June 23rd? Like, subscribe if you haven't, comment below if you haven't, click that bell, get more videos. I holla.